Are you trying to figure out how to prototype interactive radio buttons in Figma? Hi, I'm Bogdan and have over 10 years of experience designing interfaces, and today I'm going to save you a ton of time and frustration. Trust me, I've been there struggling for over 2 hours just to find the best way to make those radio buttons actually work within my design system. But don't worry, I've cracked the code so you don't have to. In this tutorial, I'll show you not one, but two different ways to prototype the interactive radio buttons using component variants and variables in Figma. So if you're ready to turn those static designs into fully interactive prototypes, grab your favorite drink and let's dive right in. And as always, the Figma files are available for free using the link from the description. With that in mind, I love to get your support and have you subscribe to my channel. I know the majority of you will not subscribe, but it means a lot for me if you can, as it allows me to put more time into creating all those tutorials for you, and all that takes me hours to prepare, record, edit and upload for you. So here I have a simple design project that I've done for you. It's using Shadow UI, a very popular design system. So here we have the radio buttons components with some slight adjustments from myself, and here we have a card design that's using some of the radio buttons. The radio buttons are simple components with two variants. We have a default state and a selected state. Both of them look pretty similar. We have the radio selection here and we have the one that's selected here. The text is the same, exactly the same color, same type. What we want to do is add the radio buttons on this card so we can interact with it. At the moment, this is not selected. One of the ways that you probably already tried is to drag the prototype interaction directly from your component from one to another on click. That's the actual first way that I tried, and I found out that obviously if you have multiple radio buttons, probably more than, actually even with two will be the same case, because if you want to go back from one to another, that will, probably not work very well for you. So I'll show you the first way that's a bit more simple and probably a bit more common. Maybe you already thought about this, so I'll show you exactly how to prototype that, and later on in the video we have a more advanced one, so stay tuned for that one as well. Now if I want to design this tree, what I would recommend is to drag an instance of your component. We can start with the one that's default. It doesn't really matter, we can change the state in the future as we can easily swap from the right side panel. So in my scenario I need 3 radio buttons, so what I'll have to do is make a copy of each. Ideally the spacing will fit, if you're using design tokens you can use something that's already predefined in your system. In my case I believe I'm going to use the 16, that's the spacing between rows on my card. So I will use the 16 as spacing here, and what I'm going to do is make a new component with this tree. So I can go here and press on auto layout. That's going to create a new component, and let's say we call this one radio selection. If you have a better naming, feel free to ping me what would you call this. For now I will go with radio selection. So we have 1, we have 2, we have 3, and from here ideally this will be filled in my case, as I don't want anything else within my container. So I want it to take the entire space, as it will go along the entire space that we have on the card. And I'm going to leave this one eventually as empty, and I'm going to make a couple more copies of it, right? So we have let's say in this one will be selected. So I'm going to prototype all the variants. This might be, I'm aware this might be time consuming if you have multiple options, but at the moment with Figma, this is the only way that's possible, at least the way that I found, plus the second option that I'm going to show you, but it's going to be pretty similar, just as a heads up. So I'm going to make that one selected, and now we can easily create this as a separate component. We'll call this one a template or a composite component, up to you how you like to call it. So we are using the atomic component to create this more complex layout for the selection. And with that in mind, I can eventually make a new copy. If I think about it, we can make the vertical layout for it, so you have a couple more options. But yeah, so let's actually make that. Let's make a copy of it. And instead of having the auto layout vertical layout, we will make it a horizontal layout. We might need just to increase the spacing a little bit between them, just to ensure it's enough space. And let's select the first radio button here. Because we want to add more space between them, I'm going to make it, eventually we can leave it field container, but we need to find a way to ensure that this one, they will have enough space between the components, right? So I need to make this one hug component, at least for now. And then this one will need to be, well, I don't think it's gonna make sense in this scenario. Eventually when we are gonna use it, we'll see better how it works. For now that should be okay. Or actually we need to leave this as fixed width, and this inside, let me just try again to select them. So we'll need to make this one field container to take up the entire space and have equal spacing between them. Field container, okay. And yeah, I can probably increase now the size if I want to. So that's how we have a couple of options, and we want to make this one an entire component with the vertical and the horizontal auto layout components. If I select all of them and I go here and say create component set, so third option, with everything selected, and we'll make this one, let's call this one first layout, right? And I'm going to select these 4 options and call this one vertical, and then this one will be horizontal. I probably need a new setting, a new property. So we'll call that one selection. I believe selection could do, or we might need to. Let's find out. We'll figure it out. If I go here and add a variant, well, actually, we might need to create a property from here. So let's call it selection. Right, and we'll make this one unselected or default. What do you prefer? Let me know in the comments. I will call it, let's call it blank, right? Blank should do. We'll make this one first, or 1, up to you how I like to call it. Let's call it 1 for easy identification, and this one 3. Cool, so now we don't have any errors here. We can use any of those very easily. The last thing we need to do is add the prototype and eventually make this, look a bit better, but I'm not gonna worry about that now, as I don't want to take a lot of your time, just to make things beautiful. So it is more for the interaction bit, and I'm going to drag this one from here to the first option. You can see that automatically the change to property here, since this is a component, it's going to change the state from one to another automatically for you. I'm gonna drag the entire selection, so let's do the first one, and then we can fast forward for the rest if you want to. So this one to here, this one will go here, this one will go to here, and this one will go here. Drag this one to the previous one, this one to here, and then we have a couple more. So the first selection will go here, the second selection will go here. Did I miss anything? Well, we can prototype it anyway, right? So that's fine. Let's double check. I think I've selected all of them, but we can check later on. So again, same thing here. This one will go here. This one will go here. This one will go here. Right, and this is getting a bit more confusing since we have everything overlapped. Let's do that just for prototyping sake. And this one here. Eventually you can also drag two at the same time if it's easier for you. I can select this one, and this one's already selected, right? So let's select that one and this one and drag them here. Anything else I missed? This one is going to go here, and this one already has it. I think that's pretty much it regarding the prototypes. So let's put this one back, this one back. You can arrange them with that. And yeah, that's the component is ready, and we can add it to our design, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it works. Let's drag the first selection here. I have some placeholder text. This is just a simple example of a card where you want to edit your profile. You have the name, you have the username, and maybe your role to change your role in the team. I'm gonna leave this one as a label. If you want, you can add the label as another variant to your component, to your selection. You know, you can turn it on and off if you want to add those variants. That should be fine as well. Yeah, so let's leave this one as role and call this one project manager, this one designer, and this one dev. Oh, hold on. Did I? Yeah, that's fine, sorry. And we'll call this one developer. Cool, so we have all three, and fingers crossed it works. If I go here and start my prototype, this is my card, and let's see what it does. So I can select the project manager, I can select the designer, I can select the developer, and change them as I want. Very easy, so nothing gets saved. Everything is nice in the prototype. But let's assume we want to quickly change this one right to a horizontal. We might need to do some adjustments here. We'll make this one as fill, and eventually we can adjust the layout of the component to be a bit better here. We can make this one as fill if you want to. So we can select, I guess the spacing is a bit off, but yeah, we can worry about that later in our component, right? I assume here the problem is from this component. Yeah, so that fixes it. Cool. So same thing, right? We can have either the horizontal or the vertical layout. Everything is already prototyped here. You don't have to worry about it. So you can use it for multiple use cases, and because it's using the auto layout, if this card increases for some reason, that also increases with it. So it's yeah, it's fit to, you know, fit multiple purposes on your designs. Amazing. So that's the first option I wanted to show you, and probably the most common and easiest one. I'll show you a second option, and things might get a bit more complicated, although it might be better for more advanced projects, more complex design systems. So let's see how we would use variables to create this. Okay, so just a heads up on the variables part. In order to use your variables within a prototype, you'll need to be on a professional plan. So unless you are on a starter plan, this tutorial will not work for you. But if you have the professional plan, you can continue the tutorial. So in this case, this is the project that looks like when we ended with the first part of the tutorial. We do not need anymore the radio selection. So I'm just gonna leave here the radio buttons that we have created. Although we want to do one slight change here, so in order for this to work, we want to use a Boolean property. I'm going to change this one from state to selected. So we'll change this one to false as it's not selected, and we'll make this one true as it's selected. Next, we want to create a prototype, so I'm going to move from this one to here and have that selected, and from the other one to the previous, so that will not be selected. And in order for the tutorial to work, we want to make use of variables, as we said, and we can set variables at the component level. So that means we can, in our case, we want to have three options, so we can create well, actually, let's start creating the variables first. So if I go here and I go to local variables and I create a new variable, making that selected one, I'll make a second one for the second selection. That should be also Boolean, selected 2, and a third variable which will be selected 3. I want to leave them as false for now, because we will prototype the value using our component. So I want to take this one and we'll do a small tweak on our prototype at the component level. I want to add another action here. So the action that I want to add is setting a variable. So for the first one, I want to set the other two variables. So thinking that this is the first radio button that we will prototype out of the 3, I want to make the selected 2 to be false. I'm going to add another variable here and we'll make the selected 3 also false. So I can make now a new selection, a new component and a third component to prototype the other variants. So if we go back to the previous project, you notice there's this similarity. We still have to create all these different sequence from more interaction, pressing all the options, but in this case we do the same with variables. So if you have the professional plan, this will probably work for you as well. So we want to do the same thing here, just that we will change from selected 2 to selected 1 and also false, and this one we can leave it as selected 3, right? So we can leave this one like that, and for the third option we want to prototype that to be the selected 1 to be false and selected 2 to be false. So in this scenario, the third option, the third radio button will be true. So let's call this one 3, we'll make this one 2, and we'll make this one 1. Now, moving forward, we want to get rid of this one first, And let's add our radio buttons right here. So let's delete that. And I'm going to copy the second radio button and the third radio button from here. So we have all three added. Now what we need to do is connect this property to its variable. So this one will be selected 1, this one will be selected 2, and this one will be selected 3. Let's give it a quick test and see if we missed anything. Prototype. Yeah, it seems like it works perfectly. So you can do the same thing now. You can rename the selection, up to you, and you can prototype as many options as you want. So you will obviously need to add more variables to it. Same thing here. I think this is also straightforward because you do not need to create anymore the horizontal ones. You can just add those to another auto layout if you want, and you can have them horizontally, or you can add them back to vertically. It's up to you, but it will work any way you like. So this is the second option which I mentioned. Again, unfortunately it only works with the professional plan, but let me know your thoughts. Which option do you prefer? And yeah, anything you like to see in the next video, let me know as well in the comments. And also do not forget that the files are available for free in the description of this video. And also do not forget to subscribe to the channel.